proceed with our online lessons. And the topic which I'm going to begin with, I think if you have I'll assume that in front of us, all of us, we have our, notebooks? The new notebooks, not the old ones, the part 2 notebook. And the part 2 notebook, I saw on top it has got something like a heart, then their lungs. Actually, it is showing you the organs within the thoracic cavity. I'll assume that every person knows the thoracic cavity and where the thoracic cavity is formed. If you can, I'm not seeing you, but let me assume that you are touching your thoracic cavity right now. But the individuals I'm with here, they are touching the heads. None of them has touched the thoracic cavity. But where actually the thoracic cavity, we find there the heart, we find there the lungs, we find there the thymus gland. Those are the major glands which I know of. But for you might know very many other glands there, very many other organs there. But those are the major organs. So now when you open that book, I think the first topic there, it is respiration gaseous exchange, I will assume. Then from there, I think also transport, but transport I think it was in the other.
Good.
Now from there, there is excretion and
like this,
regulation. So the topic which we are going to be looking at, we shall be looking at excretion and osmoregulation. Yeah, we can see clearly what is on the. For those ones, every person, please, we need to pay attention. Let us what is on the blackboard. I have something there, excretion there, and then I added, please, how many are you supposed to be earned? So someone shouldn't ask what is that. And also
checking the big part.
I would love that it becomes interactive at the start.
With one.
And being interactive in such a way that I want to ask some questions. But I think not all of us, please, all of us, if we decide to talk at once, definitely we shall not hear anything, and it will be disorganized noise. And I don't know if you go back to English, I don't know how we call disorganized noise, what it means. Now, my first question is, what is excretion? But now, another thing, the problem I said we open and we look at the text. I know all people are just going to read from the book, and they will not use the head. But I would prefer that we use our what we have in the head, not what is written down in in those notebooks. And that is what we mean by learning. I'm getting it. So I don't want people to be looking at the thing. Right now, let us pay attention. Let us look away from those things and we concentrate much this side. So what is excretion? That will be the first question. And then the second question definitely will be, what is osmoregulation?
100,000 you paid.
And I'm very sure this one you don't have in your books. I'm very sure about that. So there I will get people there. For this one, people I know they are going to read. But now, Mariam, I can see your hand up. You can mute yourself, Mariam, and then you answer.
Excretion is the process. Excretion is the process by which waste products are removed from the body.
Yeah, it is the process by which waste products are removed from the body.
The body.
That is very good. I can see Nancy, still the hand is up. Unmute yourself and give us an answer.
Yes, the same.
It is the same, eh?
Yes.
The same as what?
Excretion is the process by which living organisms remove waste products from the body.
Excretion is the process by which living organisms remove waste products from the body. That is not the same, because first she said it is removal of waste products of metabolism, something of the sort. Nanyanja, Haula, I can see. Also, your hand is still up. Unmute yourself.
Waste product. Excretion is the removal of waste products of metabolism from the body of living organisms.
You are not clear. Pardon?
Is the removal of waste products of metabolism from the body of living organisms.
Yeah, the removal of waste products of metabolism from the body of an organism. Thank you very much, whoever has tried. And I think we have seen that every person is looking at removal of waste products of metabolism. Metabolism from the body. Now, by the way, those ones who end with the body, I have a question for you. I'm assuming that every person is seeing what I'm holding. I think I'm holding a body. Is it true?
No, teacher, it's a duster.
But the duster is a body.
It's a body.
Eh?
It's a body.
Because now, do you know what we need to understand?
The video is off.
Okay, now let us understand one thing. Science is made up of many branches. And these branches, they interconnect at one point. That there is physics, there is chemistry, then there is biology. Those ones are the interconnecting what? Science, what? Subjects. I think in physics, I think this is a body. It is not a duster. Even
Yes.
here, as we see, this book here is a body. But now in biology, instead of using only body, that means I have maybe to say from the body of a living organism. That means I have to add there of a living what? Organism. Now, but if you just end with only the body, please, there you are still talking about anything. It can be a blackboard, it can be a building, it can be anything. So now, majorly we are looking at what? The living what? Organism. Now, that is something, that is part of actually what we mean by excretion. It is not the full excretion. Understand that when we are talking about excretion, yes, there are those waste products of metabolism. Yes, they are there. But also, if we look at the case of animals, whereby now, like for example, I'll use an example that you go to the doctor and he says, you know what, you need to get proteins. That's what the doctor will advise. I'm assuming that maybe there you are suffering from something. Are you getting it? And they said, you know what, your kid or your baby, what you can do for the baby is to give the kid a lot of what? Proteins. But there isn't any food which is there in nature. Are you getting it? Which only contains proteins. They can contain some carbohydrates, they will contain some what? Lipids. So what does that mean? That I might take in other things will be in. Those ones are trying to talk, let us talk, eh? Now I'm saying that some things we can take them in what? In excess. And also, if these ones are retained in excess in the body, they have certain other problems, or they can interfere with some metabolic what? Processes occurring in what? In an organism. So what that that also these ones need to be eliminated or to be removed from the what? The body. So when we are talking about excretion, I would say excretion is the removal of waste products of metabolism and substances in excess from the body of a living organism. Yeah, please, we need to check on that because we might have even in our texts, are you getting it? When it just ends with
I beg your pardon.
waste products of what?
I beg your pardon.
I'm saying excretion is the removal of waste products of metabolism and substances in excess from the body of a living organism. So what have I added onto this? I have added there and substances in excess. Does that make sense? Eh? That's what I have added onto our definition.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't?
We have not understood.
Teacher, some of us can't see your video.
We can't see the board.
Eh?
We
Teacher,
cannot.
some of us can't see your video.
Now, the network should be having a problem, maybe.
Yeah, you're writing past the screen. You couldn't see the words.
You guys mute yourselves because whenever I speak, we see your thingies.
Double tap to pin the teacher.
Okay, now multiply yourself by 0.
Now, are we able to see what is on the blackboard, all of us?
Yes, teacher.
So that is what
Yes,
we mean
teacher.
by excretion. Are you getting it? Eh? This here is the definition for excretion. And maybe let me or tell you this, we need to take note that whenever they ask, for example, if they say, define the following term, there we use only the agreed upon statements, which a definition, are you getting, is an agreed upon statement. We cannot go ahead to put there our words. But if they say, what is excretion? I can use any words because there they just want an explanation. Does that make sense? Now, if we say, please define, this is how we are meant to present our definition. Are you getting it? But if they tell me what is meant by, even I can put there even examples. Are you getting it? Because there you are just asking me, you want me to explain, to make you understand what excretion is all about. But maybe let us note this. There is something I want us to note so much. There is something there where we said waste products of metabolism. There is a reason. If you just say the removal of waste products from the body, are you getting it? Waste products can also include, are you getting it? Some substances which have not passed through or which are not as a result of chemical reactions in the body. That one we need to take note of that. When we say waste products of metabolism, those are products from, or they are waste products from the what? From chemical reactions. And by the way, Also, maybe let me take time and then I look at something called metabolism. Because some individuals might not get to know what metabolism means. Metabolism, there we just look at the chemical activities occurring in an organism. Chemical activities occurring in an organism. So whenever, if, for example, you are asked, because you can say, what is metabolism? Or define metabolism. Those are chemical activities occurring in an organism. And these chemical activities can be subdivided into two, or they are grouped into two. And one of them, always we shall say, I'll put this other side, and I'll say
Anabolism.
catabolism and
Anabolism.
yeah, that is very good. So those are the chemical activities. These two, they make up what we call metabolism. Either the processes, the chemical activities, either it is a catabolic reaction or it is an anabolic reaction. Now, what do we mean by catabolic reaction? Those are reactions which involve breaking down the complex to simple. For example, like respiration. Are you getting it? We are breaking down glucose from glucose to carbon dioxide and water. Are you getting it? That is now a catabolic what? Reaction. But when we talk about an anabolic reaction, now I will use photosynthesis. Are you getting in? Where carbon dioxide is added onto water, and then we end up with what? Glucose, the other side. So anabolic we are making from simple to complex, but catabolic we are breaking down the complex to simple. So that is now all. Now, like for example, I can use that because now I want to bring out a waste product of what? Metabolism. I'll use the catabolic. I'll use this here where we have our glucose. Are you getting in? Now, this was for those ones who haven't covered respiration, please don't mind. We shall go through the what? The respiration. But let us look at this because now this is glucose. A glucose.
Excuse me, teacher.
You're excused.
I want to.
You want to?
Can you please explain to me again the definition of?
The definition of?
Teacher, I want the definition.
If they ask you to define anabolism, how exactly do you state it?
Now, this now please let us listen first. Now I'm trying to come up with the definition of catabolism or a catabolic reaction. I said catabolic reactions, these are reactions where we break down or which involve the breakdown of a complex organic structure or maybe whatever or molecule. Are you getting it? It is broken down to simple. The reactions involve breaking down a complex to simple. Now, like for example here, I'm looking at glucose. Now, this glucose, in presence of oxygen, the glucose is going to be broken down to carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. That is now the reaction which is going on. Now, this reaction which I have presented here is a catabolic reaction. It involves breaking down a complex. This is the complex now. The glucose is complex, a complex organic molecule. Are you getting it? We break it down to the simple inorganic. Are you getting it? Because carbon dioxide is inorganic and the water is what? Inorganic. So we are breaking down this complex molecule into this simple molecule. But now, when we break it down, because I said it is a catabolic reaction, I wanted to bring in this here, waste products of what? Metabolism. Now, in this case, in this reaction, carbon dioxide is a waste product of metabolism. It is from the breakdown of glucose. It is a chemical reaction occurring in the cell. Does that make sense? It is a chemical reaction occurring in the cell. And it leads to the production of what? Carbon dioxide. And also water. Now, carbon dioxide and water in this case, both of them, for us now, we can take them to be what? Waste products of metabolism. Does that make sense? Now, this carbon dioxide cannot be allowed to accumulate in the body because it is toxic. That is now one thing. But I haven't included the word here, toxic wastes, because it doesn't mean that all of them are what? Are toxic. Even this carbon dioxide, please, in little amounts, it is not toxic to the what? To the body. And you will see when you are maybe looking through gaseous exchange, we shall say it is very important to take in air which contains carbon dioxide. So that one we need to note that. So that means it is not toxic. In certain amounts, it is not toxic to the body, but it cannot be allowed to accumulate. So we remove it from the body. Now, I was coming up with a catabolic reaction. Now, I want to look at an anabolic reaction where we build up from simple, the simple inorganic. We use these ones and they react together to form the complex organic compounds. And there, I'll not remove that equation, but I'll just put there carbon dioxide plus water, again, in presence of sunlight, we shall end up with what? That there, we shall end up with glucose. But on top of that, please also, there will be oxygen, which will be produced. So we need to note that. My equations are not balanced, but please, they are meant to be what? Balanced when for you are doing what? Writing them down. Are you getting it? So we are having carbon dioxide plus water. Then we end up, these are the simple inorganic. They react together in the cell of the organism to form a complex organic compound. And we are seeing that oxygen here, now this here is a product. The glucose is required by the cell. Are you getting it? But the oxygen, for it now, it is a what? A waste product in this case. Are you getting it? The product was what? Maybe someone will ask even this side, which is the product? The product was the energy. So meaning that these two, for them, they are what? Waste products. In this case, the product is the glucose, but the oxygen is what? A waste product of metabolism. So, and that one, when we reach the point of looking at the waste products, we shall see, we shall talk about those ones which are organic and those ones which are inorganic. We shall talk about them. But this one here, it is catabolic, while this one here is anabolic. Anabolic, we are making, we're getting the complex organic compounds from the simple inorganic compounds. Then reactions which involve the breakdown of the complex organic compounds into the simple, those are the ones which we say that they are catabolic in what? In nature. So now, so far, we have looked at this thing here called metabolism. So whenever you are asked what metabolism is all about, please, it is about chemical activities occurring in the cell of an organism. And this is the catabolic.
Teacher.
Yes, please.
Teacher. Which one was catabolic and which one was anabolic?
The reaction is breaking down a complex. The simple is the one which we call catabolic. This one here is catabolic. Glucose being broken down to carbon dioxide and water energy. That is the catabolic reaction. Then carbon dioxide, water form glucose. That is anabolic. Is it okay?
Yes,
Janita, please mute.
Bro, I was only asking a question.
Now, please let us try to proceed. Now, there is something, because as I was talking about waste products, I said there are very many waste products which can be produced from the body or which can be eliminated from the body. But some of them, they are not waste products of what? Metabolism. These ones are not due to, or they haven't passed through the chemical activities occurring in the organism. For example, I'll have to put that something called, I think if I haven't written it wrongly, it is that. And I know very many people do not want even to pronounce it. They are called feces. And then sometimes we put that, I think they use this, the process, and they call it defecation. But in biology, for us, we shall be a bit, are you getting it? We go on to get morally upright. Maybe I'll use that. And instead of using this, for us, we shall just say, undigested. So, undigested material. Are you getting it? Meaning that we are looking at that. And then, instead of using that, that's what we shall use. Are you getting it? Now, please, we need to understand this here, feces are not waste products of metabolism. They don't pass through any chemical activity in the cell. Actually, though even at one point, but let me stick to one. Always when we are looking at digestion in the human being, we shall say that digestion, or maybe let me say, the stomach is not inside the cell. We need to note that the stomach is not inside the what? The cell. The small intestines are not inside the cell. So they are inside our body, but they are still part of the external environment, not the internal. It's like, for example, if you look at your skin, we shall say that is external. Are you getting it? It's on the external surface. Now we should note that the lining of the mouth, the stomach, the duodenum, and up to the anus, all that lining is continuous with our outer skin. So what does that mean? That all that part and that's the reason why always we say we shall have digestion, and at the same time we shall have what? Absorption. If it was inside the body, that means we wouldn't have talked about what? Absorption. We should note that these things here, when we talk about metabolism, this occurs in the cells. We never say that occurs outside the one.
You guys, we are begging, please mute.
So please unmute yourself.
Chair, muted.
Teacher, we can't hear.
Teacher, we can't hear you. Who are you explaining to?
You're muted. Teacher.
Whoa.
Teacher, we can't hear.
As in
Auntie, you
teacher.
are making noise. Now what do you want?
Unmute, Bambi.
Bye, mommy.
Lol. kATEREGGA is seriously.
But no, it's really cute.
Come on.
People just know it, teacher.
Can now make your
You guys, am I
Let's
the only
teacher
one?
will put it back.
Commenting silent. Baby, can you unmute, baby?
Teacher, unmute.
Yes, it is.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Hello. Now, because you can't keep quiet, people don't want to.
Yes, teacher.
I don't know.
Now, please, can we actually, now we are on this thing here. I was saying that I wanted to bring in something called egestion, and to separate it or to divide it or to remove it from excretion. Because in most cases, for some individuals, whenever we talk about excretion, even egestion, they will include it there. That means people will look at the feces as waste products of what? Metabolism. When in reality, these ones are not waste products of what? Metabolism. So that's what we need to note, or that's what I'm trying to do, to come up with. That these ones, even though there is digestion, or there is the enzymes coming to break down this food, the food which remains undigested, which wasn't dealt with by the enzymes, is the one which makes up the what? The feces. Are you getting it? So in that case, the feces, for this one, we cannot put it under the waste products of what? Metabolism. It is a waste product, but it is not a waste product of what? Metabolism. And the process of its removal from the body of an organism, we don't call it excretion. Instead, we call it egestion. So when they ask, what is egestion? Egestion is the removal of the undigested material of food from the body. That is now, I want to stress this here. Egestion is the removal of the undigested material or undigested food from the body of an organism. So that is not, that process of that removal is not excretion. So we need to note that. Then also I want to bring in another thing which we need to note. That
Pardon?
I would say
Kindly repeat.
egestion, this one here. So maybe let me remove that. I bring in egestion is the removal
Undigested food.
undigested material
From the body.
from the body
Of an organism.
organism. So that is now egestion. Please, we need to note that. So if you're talking about defecation, that is not part of excretion. Now, also another thing which I wanted to bring in, that in the body, sometimes we can go on to release some substances or chemical substance, but these chemical substances are of use to the body. They are being released out, like for example, I'm assuming that all of us will know the stomach. We say when the food arrives into the stomach, there is release of gastric juice. And remember, I said the digestive system is outside. It is not inside the what? The body. Inside the cell. Let me not use the body. It is not inside the cell, but it is outside the cells. So in that case, it becomes that it is extracellular. It is not intracellular. Now, that means if, for example, I go on to release the gastric juice, it would be appearing to be like removal. Are you getting it? Of maybe a substance. But we need to note that what I'm releasing has some importance in the body, or it has some importance outside the body of the organism. In which case, we shall not use the word excretion, meaning that now, like for example, when we sweat, are you getting it? I can easily say, maybe sweating, someone will say, we are releasing some substances outside the what? The body. In that case, it becomes what? Excretion. I get you. But this substance which we are removing or which we are releasing has some importance, that it goes on to help in doing what? In reducing on the what? On the heat in the what? In the body. That means it is important. So we cannot call that excretion. What do we call it? We term it secretion. So there are these, please, you need to note that there are these important terms. We are bringing them out so that we can go on to know, to differentiate between excretion, egestion, and secretion. So whenever we go on to release any substance from the body, but it has got importance either outside or inside the body, there, please, it becomes secretion. So this one I can say is that it can be passive or active. Are you getting it? Release of chemical substances of importance to the body or to the organism. Let me not use to the body, to the organism. Now, that is the secretion that we are looking at. It can be either passive, it can be also active, meaning that it can be active, that's it involves energy in its release. And passive, that means it doesn't involve any energy in its what? Release. Now, like for example, I can say we go on to release gastric juice, which contains enzymes, that is like the pepsin, that goes on to break down the what? The proteins to polypeptides. We go on to release pancreatic juice. Are you getting it? The pancreatic juice also contains enzymes like the amylase, it contains enzymes like the lipase, it contains enzymes like, I don't know which other, trypsinogen or trypsin, and all these ones have some importance in the body. Does that make sense? Please, we need to note that secretion, I said, is the passive or active release of chemical substances of importance to the organism, either inside or outside. Are you getting it? But they have some importance. So please, we need to differentiate.
Teacher.
Yeah. So,
teacher,
for example, I'm talking about the
teacher.
I'm talking about, sorry?
Teacher,
yes, please.
so I wanted to ask, excretion, in other words, excretion does not, when those waste products of metabolism and substances in excess are removed, they are not of importance to the body.
That is very
But
good.
in secretion, they are important.
And that is very good. You have got the difference.
Yeah.
Are you getting it? The
Yeah.
difference majorly relies in this. Are you getting it? That these ones here, the waste products of metabolism, they don't have any use in the body. Are you getting in? But secretion, whatever the cells are releasing outside, are you getting in, has some importance to the organism. Either these ones can be enzymes or they can be hormones. When we reach the part of hormones, again, we shall use the word secretion. Are you getting it? Where we can say, like, for example, the pancreas secretes a hormone called insulin. We cannot use the word that the pancreas excretes insulin. There, please, they will hold the country and the teacher at ransom. Are you getting it? Martha?
Teacher.
Yes, please.
So I have, where do you place throwing up, for vomiting?
Vomiting, where do we put it?
Yes.
Then Naloiso?
Teacher, I was saying, please adjust your camera. I can't see the other side of the board.
Which side now? It is only from here up to here, please. Maybe the down part only, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, the down part, that's why I repeated it so that you can put it down. Are you getting it? Because for it, I'm seeing actually also here. Myself, I can only see up to chemical substances only. Are you getting it? Now, throwing up, it is a process. Maybe I can say there, it has not yet entered into. Are you getting it? It is still outside the body. We haven't yet actually taken it inside the body. So I will not put it under secretion. I will not put it under egestion. Are you getting it? And again, I will not put it under what? Excretion. That's why they put there the word vomiting. Are you getting it? The body tries to eliminate. There is maybe the best word I would have used. Have you ever heard of the word regurgitate? Have you ever heard of the word regurgitate?
I beg your pardon, teacher.
Have you ever heard of the word regurgitate?
No.
Yes, teacher.
But you covered the digestion.
Yes, like when it comes back in ruminants.
Look at digestion in the...
It is in ruminants.
That's very good. That it is like peristalsis occurring. Are you getting it? But action as the body is trying to defend it, it is actually an immune response. Are we noting? Vomiting is like an immune response. The body tries to eliminate whatever it doesn't require. Are you getting it? In order to defend itself. In this, there, I will not put it under this excretion. I will not put it under egestion, and I will not put it under what? It is an immune response. Chambada, I can see your hand up.
So my question is, defecating fall into secretion because it's also important to the body?
Now, please let us understand. Are you getting it? Now, excretion, I said removal of waste products of metabolism. I never used unwanted. Are you getting it? Now, for you, maybe we can look at it that definitely all these processes, all of them, they have importances. Are you getting it? All of them, they have what? Importances. But where? Meaning, like, for example, when definitely your bladder gets filled up, you'll start feeling the pain. So you need to remove that one, that urine. It is important to the body. Are you getting it? But its importance, now it's like getting a relief. Like, for example, if you are sick, and then you are given maybe some medicine to relieve you of something. Are you getting it? But now, when I look at the secretion, the importance I'm looking at, that's why I used an example. For example, I said, if we look at the pepsin in the gastric juice, if, for example, that pepsin wasn't available and or you produce gastric juice without pepsin, please, you'll never take in proteins. You'll never absorb them, or you'll never have them. Are you getting it? Now, we are not looking at the importance, I don't know, like relieving something. Are you getting it? That, you know, if I had the urine, if I go on, or if the food goes on to, definitely, even there is something called the rectum, which stores the undigested material. Definitely, it goes on to swell up, that I will feel the pain when it swells up. Are you getting it? So when you pass it out, you get some relief, but it is not, I don't know how I will put it. I'll just say it has not passed through the cell metabolism, so I cannot put it under excretion. Are you getting it? And it doesn't possess any importance to the body. That, I don't know how I can put the importance or the role. Maybe let me say it does not possess a role. Are you getting it? Because you passing out undigested food, of what role is it to the body? So that's how we should be looking at it. Are you getting it? In order to get the what? The differences between secretion, egestion, and excretion. Nantume, I can see your hand.
Teacher, I was asking, is it okay to say secretion is the active or passive flow of substances from living cells?
That, pardon?
I was asking, is it okay to say secretion is the active or passive flow of substances from living cells?
Flow. Eh?
Yeah, the passive or active flow of substances.
No, we shouldn't use the word flow. Are you getting it? Eh? Flow means something different. That's why we are looking at this. Are you getting it? Eh? It is something now, when you look at flow, now, like for example, mucus can flow from our body. Are you getting it? Eh? But you are not the one intending. It is not the body intending. Are you getting it? Eh? There isn't any intention in it. But when it accumulates, that means it's just doing what? Flowing. Are you getting it? Eh? So secretion, we cannot use the term flow. No. Please, we use the term release. Are you getting it? Eh? We use release, but not flow. Nanchinga?
So, teacher, I want to ask, like, back on the vomiting thing, I wanted to ask, it's not under secretion, ejection, excretion.
Who check your screen?
I know.
Can we pay?
Please remove your screen. We can't see the teacher.
Ryan,
don't
yes,
check your screen.
Maybe she doesn't know how to.
Ryan, please.
Ryan, ask.
Ask for help if you don't know.
Ryan,
She doesn't know. Oh God.
and why did she
Out for your friend?
No.
No mercy. No mercy.
I don't see that. You are confusing it.
Please, we are going to mute you all. Can we mute ourselves so that we don't disorganize everything?
We are not started. You can mute all of them.
Now, so far, we have only looked at those. Please, we are using all the time on very few things. Now, I want to include in some other terms. Please, let us note. Now, please let us Super AZ. Now I don't know who is Super AZ. Here is Super AZ. What are you making? Super AZ. What is they're still happy by life. It is understandable. Super AZ. You have vanished.
Like teacher. Repeat secretion.
But who is Super AZ?
Yeah? You remember we said if you start using funny names, we shall just eliminate you from the class. Now one is called 090487. Another one is called 509554. Those ones are not our students, so I'm going to eliminate you from the class. I said click in your name, you go to more and then rename. Then you type in the official name. Opula is the AZ, Super AZ. Have I not muted you now? You cannot unmute yourselves, but that's not what we want because you may have questions. Again, we tell you, please mute, you don't want to listen. Now, the next time I will mute you completely.
Melissa, I can see your hand. Melissa.
Teacher, are there any hindrances to excretion? Because, like, for example, constipation. Now, what is there something like that stops the waste, like the feces, from coming out? Like, are there any specific I don't know how to explain, but any hindrances to like excretion?
Definitely, maybe I'll just say in generally, are you getting it? That in the body, there is what we call coordination. And when we are looking at coordination, we look at the activities going on in the body. These ones go on to be interlinked and they cannot interfere with any other. That when the time comes, it is not that, you know, when, like, for example, what we should note, that urine at all time for the kidney, as what we shall see, there is formation of urine. But again, it is not that as it is formed, then it goes on to do what? Now, maybe if we can go back to the young, the babies, for them, by the way, there is that one now, the body hasn't yet been conditioned and it hasn't yet actually developed to that extent or to that level where it can control all these activities. Like for the baby, you can be, as the baby is taking in like water, are you getting in? At the same time, it can be urinating. Because whatever comes in just goes out at the same time. That's the same that as they are feeding, anything which goes in at the same time, it just does what? That the rectum cannot hold. So whatever goes into the rectum, however small it is, because there are some muscles which we shall call spinster muscles. These ones here, since they are not yet well developed, they are not yet well developed. So what happens? That always as anything enters, it has to do what? To live. But as time goes on, as you grow, the body learns to control. And you start controlling some of these. So that doesn't mean that at any one period of time, you know, as urine forms has to be eliminated. No, it can be stored temporarily. But there are those organisms, like for example, we shall talk about the fish. For the fish, as the waste product forms, it has to be eliminated because it is very toxic. So it has to be eliminated there and then. But in some organisms, most of the mammal, please, these ones are retained, they are controlled. There is some control. Naruoga, I can see also your hand.
Teacher, what about those big people who pee on themselves?
Those people who do what?
Who sues on themselves?
Now, as we grow, now our body cells go on to age. That's another thing which you need to note. That when you are young, the spinster muscles are not developed. They are very weak, so they allow everything to do what? Move out. But also when we age, we go on to move back to being young. That's one we should understand. That again, there is a time which will reach whereby you will not be able to control the what? The urine. Your spinster muscles, again, these ones are, they are dilated. So they cannot go ahead to do what? To contract and do what? And relax. So as the urine forms, again, it goes on to what? To pass through. That's why even they are making papers for the what? The aged. So we can also, when you are reaching that age, actually, I can say that we should note that we, like the human being, our growth ends at the age of 18, about 18. But those ones who grow while waiting for others, for them, they will end at 25. And after 25, please, you start aging. Things start breaking down. So your body starts doing what? Weakening. So you reach a point whereby you cannot. So you go back to being young. And that's why even you see that we end up not seeing properly, you end up not hearing properly, everything. You end up losing your common sense. And so someone whom you knew, even your kids, you end up not knowing them any longer. So you lose memory, everything goes on to deleted. So that is now the aging bit of it. Nancy B, I can see you also.
Yeah, that means at this stage, if you have a problem like that, like, it is a problem. Like,
it is what?
It is a problem.
The problem of
the urine just passes through.
For the elderly,
like at this age, like at 16.
I'm not hearing properly. Najat, also I can see your hand. Oh, she's not.
So that's all I was asking about constipation, like
constipation,
constipation. Like if after healing from constipation, when you finally take the materials out, is that egestion or it's excretion?
It is still egestion. You are taking out undigested material. But it was just it was just logging inside the what? The intestine.
So then for vomiting, did you mean the materials don't reach the digestive system?
Now vomiting, we only vomit what is in the stomach. We cannot vomit anything past the stomach. So anything which is inside the stomach is what you do at, you bring out. Are you getting it? That means it is just at the start of being digested. Are you getting it? There is nothing. So anything beyond that, you cannot bring it out. Because also the stomach has got what? What we can call the pyloric spinster muscles, which control what moves out of the what? The stomach. So we only vomit what is inside. And in most cases, actually, even we vomit what we are still having in the what? In the esophagus or in the gullet. That's what comes up majorly in most cases. Now, please let me first look at this. I wanted to bring in something called homeostasis, osmoregulation, not homeostasis. And then at the same time, there is something also which homeostasis. I think it's written like that. I wanted to bring in these two here. Are you getting it? The osmoregulation and homeostasis. Because if you remember, I said, always when we are looking at excretion, we add there the word osmoregulation. And for osmoregulation, it comes under homeostasis. Because osmoregulation, we look at the of a constant water and solute level in the body. Osmoregulation, we are looking at
Excuse me, teacher. You guys, please mute. They are going to mute us all, please.
A constant, water and solute level. Maintenance of a constant water and solute level in the body. So please, osmoregulation, we shall be looking at maintaining a constant water level and maintaining a constant solute level. So you please now, when you get a chance to see someone by the names of Mr. Siva and Hamza Chisubi, are you getting him? If you get any chance of meeting those, solute means. For us in biology, we just use that. Please.
People, please mute. Please mute. They're going to mute us all.
Please, can we mute ourselves? Now, I'm saying there we are looking at what osmoregulation is. Then homeostasis, for it, it encompasses everything, even the osmoregulation. We should note that. And for it, what does it look at? Homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. Is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. Constant internal environment. Now, I'm assuming that now the word environment will not disturb us. Are you getting it? Biologically, anything inside or outside us becomes our environment. Are you getting it? Anything inside or outside. Like, for example, there where you are, I know you have a pen that is part of your environment. You have where you are seated, that is part of your environment. For me now, I can say the blackboard, the chalk, the duster, and what? All that is now my environment. Are you getting it? But also inside, we have what? An environment. Majorly, we look at the blood, circulatory system, we look at the tissue fluid. Those are some of the things which we shall find in what? In transport. So the maintenance of a constant internal environment is what is meant by homeostasis. So whenever they say, what is homeostasis? You just say maintenance of a constant internal environment. Now, as we are maintaining the constant internal environment, there are different mechanisms. Are you getting it? And one of them is the what? The osmoregulation, where we shall be looking at how the water, and maybe instead of using solute, let me use the word minerals. Maybe that one, eh? And I'll say salts. Are you getting it? The salt level.
I can't see your video.
Please, we are saying that one of the mechanisms in homeostasis is osmoregulation. And the osmoregulation, we deal only with what? We deal with only water, how the water level how water is maintained in the body and how the salt level also is maintained in the body. So that is now what osmoregulation is. And why I wanted to bring in, or why I brought in this term osmoregulation, we shall see that the organs which we are going to deal with in excretion, that is the kidney. The kidney is involved in two things. It is involved in osmoregulation, but also it is involved in excretion. So that's why we are bringing up this term. So someone shouldn't ask herself, why are we talking about again osmoregulation? Please, we are talking about osmoregulation because the kidney, which does the work of excretion, at the same time also does the work of what? Osmoregulation. I can see very many hands. Martha.
Teacher, I'm going to take you back where you said that aging starts at 25. So when you said that you can even start losing your common sense,
you can start
like you said, losing your common sense. I'm forgetting. Let's say your children.
Hey.
So does amnesia come with that?
Now that one there is one which is due to aging, but there is one which is due to the damage of the cerebral cortex. Are you getting it? That someone can get an accident and you get that amnesia. Are you getting it? But that is now due to the fact that the cerebral cortex has been what? Damaged. Are you getting it? And so you lose that sense. Are you getting it? Because within the cerebral cortex, that's where we shall find the memory center. It is found in the cerebral cortex. So the moment it is affected, then you can lose that, whatever past experience, all of it, we can lose it. But the one which comes due to the aging, that's now where also the brain cells go on doing what? Wearing away. Are you getting in? Because of doing what? Aging. And by that time, the cells will not be able to be replaced because you are through with growth. Our growth is limited. It is not continuous as the one for the what? The plants. For the plants, like for example, perennial plants, their growth is continuous. That until when you cut down the tree, for them, they don't stop doing what? Cells don't stop dividing and forming. But in our case, cells stop doing what? Forming. The only organ which I know, I think, which remains with that ability where the cells can continue to divide, that is the liver. It is the only organ in our body. For it, it remains with that ability of division. But for the other body parts, please, all of them, when we reach a certain age, that age, please, I'm just using an average. Are you getting it? It is 1825. That's now when we stop doing what? So cells stop forming. Now, meaning that if you get any problem but at that point, that means you lose it totally. And that's why you see that they will tell you now, when someone goes on to break his leg, are you getting it? At the age of maybe 25 and above, that your chances of doing what? Of this one reforming are very, very minimal. Does that make sense? So that means we have started doing what? Aging, and that's why now you look at, the hair, because we stop actually producing even the melanin, so it becomes gray in color. Are you getting it? The eyesight also, because the cell, we need to understand that the lens has cells which are living, but these ones go on to become rigged. And that's why we cannot see things which are very close to us. We see only things which are very far. So very many changes come up due to the aging or due to the fact that growth has stopped. That one we need to note that. Rather,
Teacher, I had to ask about homeostasis.
Does
it also include maintaining
maintaining
and pH of the body?
Now, here, when we talk about homeostasis, there are very many things which actually fall under homeostasis. We look at the environment. Are you getting it? One of the things definitely we need to maintain the water level. We need to maintain the salt level. We need to maintain the pH. Are you getting it? We need to maintain very many things. Are you getting it? Though we shall talk about few of them. At your level, actually, we talk about only osmoregulation. Are you getting it? And then also, we shall look at maintenance of the glucose or the sugar level. That one, we shall look at it. Then we look at temperature. Also, it falls under temperature regulation. Also, is under homeostasis.
Yes.
Does that make sense? There are very many things, but at your level, please, we look at temperature regulation, sugar regulation, then water and salt regulation only. Somebody,
Teacher.
Yes.
Teacher, what did you say about the kidney?
What did I say about?
The kidney, like how does it? Yes.
Don't mind. Our next lesson, we are going to be dealing with the kidney. Are you getting it? Today, the only things now which I wanted us to note, are you getting it? By the end, by the time we go off, someone should be actually in position to tell us what excretion is, what egestion is, what secretion is, what osmoregulation is, and what homeostasis is. Those are the only things which we need to do to note. Are you getting it? So we have been in just the introductory bit of our topic, excretion and osmoregulation. Now, for today, please, we have to end here. And I'll say, I wish you nice lunch for those ones who didn't fast. Those ones fasting, please, nice fasting. I wish you a nice day.
Thank you.
Teacher, are we supposed to work in full caps? Yeah, are we supposed to holiday work? Someone help out.
Are we supposed to?
Are we supposed to holiday work in full caps?
Now, the holiday work, don't mind. As we are going, we shall be looking at one per bit. Are you getting it? We shall get some times and then we go through the holiday work. Does that make sense? And get one question and then like that until the end.
In the book.
Yeah,
So where do we write the holiday work?
Where you want to answer it? Definitely in the book.
Those who do not want just
in the book.
Hi, teacher.
Hi.
May God bless you.
As we need.
Yeah, you